Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be talking about post-punk. So post-punk is that very unique direction that punk music took in the late 70s. So we're trying to sound as authentic as possible in this video, and we have to explore all the effects that were popular back then that were used by all of these post-punk musicians. So this video is really tackling that early 80s, late 70s movement of bands like Joy Division, The Cure, Magazine, Siouxsie and the Banshees, and many others. These bands were very influential and they had their own unique style. Each one actually sounded very different. And that's the beautiful thing about post-punk. It is a vague term that describes multiple genres. If we really go into the details, it's going to be a longer video. However, what I'll do is I'll just simplify it as much as possible so you can get the idea and have your own unique sound at the end of this video. So since post-punk was actually popular in the early 80s, you will notice that the effects that are critical to getting that post-punk sound are all the effects that were popular in the 80s. So basically we're gonna start by talking about the guitars first, as usual, and then we'll talk about the amplifiers. Then finally we're gonna talk in depth about the effects and do a little bit of demonstration on the pedal board. First of all, when it comes to guitars, it really depends on what kind of sound you are looking for. Again, post-punk is a vague term, so if you want to use or play something that's very clean, I would recommend a single coil guitar. I go with a Telecaster when it comes to post-punk. I like my post-punk sound to sound very clean. That's the way I like it. Bands like Magazine that I already mentioned have a little bit of a dirtier tone. So if you want to go for a dirtier tone, I think a humbucker would do just fine. Number two, we're talking about amplifiers. Similar logic to choosing your guitar of choice. You can go for the clean sound of a Fender-like amp. Now, of course, you can go into the dirtier tone. When we say dirty, we're not really talking about like death metal dirty, or we're not really talking about very classic dirty like a Vox amp. We're talking mostly about Marshall amps. You can go for a more classic Plexi kind of sound or a JCM 800 kind of sound. It really depends on how heavy you want to be or how punk you want to be. I would recommend really any Marshall style amp that you like. And again, you don't have to use a single coil with a Fender style amp, and you don't have to use the humbucker with a Marshall style amp. You can always mix and match and find your sweet spot. Now we're gonna talk about the effects. Now for this demonstration, I'll be using a single coil going into all the pedals, then going into my Marshall BluesBreaker Reissue. The BluesBreaker is actually a very clean sounding amp as opposed to other Marshalls. Okay, so this is my pedal board. There are no effects turned on, as you can see. So the first thing you have on the right, this is the first pedal on the signal chain, is the Angry Driver. So basically it's a blues driver by Boss and a JHS Angry Charlie, which is basically a replica of the JCM 800. Then it's going to a flanger, then a chorus, then a carbon copy analog delay, then it's going to a digital reverb. So my dry tone, no effects engaged, sounds like this. So honestly, I'm not gonna always turn on the Angry Driver because the way I use it is more like a boost. As I said, I like a cleaner sound. So this is how it actually sounds if I turn it on. So So it gives just a little bit of dirt. It's not too chuggy. It also has like the JHS setting, which sounds much heavier. It has this, you know, good booster characteristic to it. Next, we're going to talk about the flanger. So I'm going to play a riff without and with the flanger so you can hear the difference. So instantly, as the only pedal being engaged right now, you're almost 90% there. So next up, we're going to talk about the chorus. Now, chorus and flanger are both modulation that were very popular in the 80s. They sound very similar in so many cases. So many people actually sometimes confuse both. However, I think having both in your pedal board is not essential, but it can give you diversity, so you can play maybe the flanger in specific verses and then switch to the chorus in other verses. So one thing I actually like sometimes to do is actually turn both on. I know this might be a little weird, but let's see how it sounds. So let's now keep both playing and introduce the delay. So see, it actually adds a little bit of depth. So if I play the same riff again. Next, we're going to talk about, of course, the reverb. So this is with reverb. This is without. I think having a little bit of ambience coming from the reverb just sounds right. I wouldn't recommend using lots of reverb and lots of delay with that because it's just going to sound like mush. Now it's worth mentioning when it comes to actually digital delay, I would recommend using either hall or room reverb. Now, right now I'm actually on hall with the reverb. So it's just giving it a little bit of something at the end. Now, if I turn the delay with the reverb, it sounds even better and more ambient. If I turn the chorus, it sounds even better, right? Now, if we go to the flanger, of course, if you want something a little bit more extreme, you can always use a little bit of overdrive, as I said. So it would sound like this. Alright, I think that's it for this video. This was very interesting for me to make. I think post-punk is one of the most underrated subgenres in rock ever. It has a very unique sound, very unique style of playing, and it just sounds really good. Please like and subscribe if you liked this video, and if you hated it, please tell me why, but also subscribe so you can keep telling me why every time. And yeah, see you next time.